Hello everybody, it's me, Jessica, your health fitness program manager from McLean, and I'm really looking forward to guiding you through today's Yin Yoga practice. We're going to do a practice that's going to help you to improve your mood and to hopefully just be a little kinder to yourself, to those around you, to just notice the good that's out there. I encourage you to grab any props you might like. Unlikely to need a strap today, but I would recommend if you want to have a block around, or if you don't have a block but you have some towels or a blanket that you can bring to help you find a little lift off the ground or support when and where needed. We're gonna start off just meditating and breathing. It's your choice if you'd like to be in Sukhasana, an easy pose, or if you'd like to start in kneeling, because right after our couple minutes of meditation, we're going to go into toe stand. So you've got just a couple minutes till we get started to gather your things, to make your space smell amazing. I know that I was roasting Brussels sprouts before class starts and it smells terrible in here, and I absolutely need to make it smell a little nicer before we begin class. Roasting Brussels sprouts is so funny because inside my apartment, before I took the dog out, I was like, yay! And then I walked back inside and was like, oh, it smells awful in here. It tastes so good though. Right, Fred? Right. All right, 3 minutes till we get started. So gather your props, wear something cozy, make your space smell so good that you feel encouraged to take those big, deep breaths. I'm still enjoying this awesome campfire smudge stick. They last forever. And I like that they don't really put too much smoke in the air like other incense would. But the scent diffuses really, really quickly. Oh, it just smells amazing in here now. In your face, Brussels sprouts. All right, 2 minutes till we all meet on the mat together. You should relax too, little dude. All right, so we've got 1 minute till class officially starts. So I think it's a great time to make my way down to my mat, just to be prepared. All right, so you have an option to start today either in kneeling pose and just start to stretch things out. If kneeling is uncomfortable for you, remember, you can always use a block. Sit yourself up slightly on a block. Being just a little bit lifted off of those knees helps. If you don't have a block, sometimes even just placing a sock behind the back of your legs can take off some of the pressure. You can even lift your block up the tall way and enjoy that for a really big lift. Or remember, you're invited to come sit down in Sukhasana. We're just going to spend the first 3 minutes of class starting right now with some breath. So I encourage you to come into whatever shape sounded or felt appropriate for you to begin with, and start to just begin by noticing your breath. Find some relaxation in your breath first, either finding one spot to relax your eyes and maybe let your focus get a little hazy, or close them. And tune into your breath. Just notice on the inhale how your body is feeling, and notice on the exhale that you're just letting it go. If you feel any discomfort, you inhale in the awareness, and exhale as if you're blowing that discomfort out into a balloon. It's out of your body, it's gone. Hopefully your breath has already started to slow down. Maybe you even notice immediately how relaxed you feel. So now bring the attention to your body. Start at the crown of your head. Maybe you can find a little bit more length. It is yin, so you're welcome to create whatever shape feels best for you. I know personally that I feel a lot better when I find some length through my spine, happy life, a little engagement in the abdominal core to keep that back feeling good, to be as straight as possible, as opposed to if I were to sink down here and not enjoy any structure throughout my core, either the front or back, that eventually things would start to feel a little more tired here. So I'm going to work to create that lift, maybe a little extra press of the shins, of even the tops of the feet into the floor. We got 1 minute left in this warm-up to take the time to let it go, to encourage yourself to be here present as much as you possibly can, to create that space in your body, in your mind, and even in your breath. So work to make every inhale just a little bit longer, maybe even taking a moment with your lungs full, and as slow as you possibly can, exaggerate your exhale. Hopefully you're enjoying some amazing stillness right now. Notice how that feels. I really encourage you, as we continue to move through some of the asanas today, to move with intention. So you don't have to move super quickly, but I also want you to have that internal personal hustle, the same way you would move if you were a couple minutes late for the premiere of the most amazing movie it's only going to show once. And you know you want to get there and be in your seat and be comfortable so you can enjoy it as much as possible. So give yourself about 3 to 5 seconds, if you can, as we transition to another posture, to get into that posture and then be there, to come into your stillness as quickly as you can. All right, so next up we're going to come into a little big toe stretch or toe squat. So you can bring your hands, palms down to the floor and come into tabletop. From here, tuck your toes under, and maybe even you lift your knees up for a sec so you can really press the meat from under your toes onto the floor, and even send your feet a little back behind you. As you start to walk your hands in and lift yourself up, you're going to notice that pressure increasing on your feet. We're going to spend 2 minutes from right here in the posture. So you're working to find a noticeable stretch. On your inhale, you should be aware of the stretch that's happening in your feet. If you don't feel it yet, you can walk yourself up. The more that you apply some pressure of the thighs onto the backs of the calves, the more you're going to feel the stretch in the big toes. However, if you find yourself fidgeting, come back to where you can just be still in the moment. It's not all or nothing. It's what can your body do today? Where is your mind at today? And we're bringing them both together, and they don't always agree with each other. So meet them in the middle. normal as we move through some of these postures. While you're in your stillness, you're being as still as possible, but you might notice some trembling, some shaking. Don't be concerned. Those are good things. That means that you're really making that stretch work a little bit deeper into your fascial ligaments, tissues, bones, joints, all of that jazz. We're just working to create some new connections to increase our flexibility and to really release the tension. But it takes a little extra time, a little concentrated stillness. And even as you find yourself in some of these uncomfortable stretches, I want you to ask yourself if you can bring a slight smile to your face. You don't have to be grinning like a madman. But if someone walked in the room and saw you, would you look really unhappy? I know a lot of times when I'm concentrating on a yoga pose, my brow furrows or I bring a frown to my face. So know that if you turn the corners of your mouth up, that it can change your mind and you can feel a little better. And we are focusing on, releasing those stored emotions and finding some more kindness. All right, let's come on out of this big toe stretch. So walk your hands forward, untuck your toes. You can even tap your feet onto the floor to release any tension. We're gonna come back into kneeling or into kneeling for the first time if you did not do Sukhasana. You're gonna bring your hands gently behind you and we're gonna come into an ankle stretch. So coming into the ankle stretch is gonna mean lifting the knees up off of the floor. I want you to make sure as you lift your knees up off of the floor that maybe your feet create a gentle bowl behind you, but make sure that you're not turning your toes out with your heels in. We're not coming into any sort of frog with our feet. If you can have your toes pointing directly behind you, great. If you have to make that football, also great. We're gonna spend 1 minute in this ankle stretch. So lifting those knees up off the floor. If that is too much for you, you can turn it into a little bit more of a hip opener, quad stretch, and keep those knees down on the floor. You can find some openness of the chest. We have 1 minute right here. I'm gonna come into that ankle stretch because that feels great. So just as quickly as you work to come into the posture, you want to work towards the quiet of your mind and that stillness in your breath. You've got about 2 more right here. You can do it. On your next exhale, start to bring your shins closer to the mat. Walk your hands forward. We're going to shift our hips to the side. Send those legs out. Oh no, I lied. Don't shift your hips to the side. Take a moment, tuck your toes under. Send your hips up towards the ceiling. And next up, we're going to come into a dangle. Yay, dangle. It's our first. So feel free to bring as generous of a bend to your knees as you need to. And make sure that you do have some weight in your heels. You can always use your prop if the floor feels really far away. As you are coming into your breath, maybe take the first couple of breaths. We've been here for about 30 seconds to find that stretch that works for you. If you can't reach your hands to the floor, remember you can use your prop. You can grab hold of your opposite elbow because I want you to find a little bit of a stretch in your lower back and also on the back of your legs. Take a little tuck of that chin to the chest. Make sure you don't have any extra wrinkles in your neck. If you're not feeling a stretch in your lower back or on the back of your legs, you can reach your arms behind your legs to come a little bit tighter into the stretch, and you'll probably start to shift the weight a little more towards your toes as your hips raise up towards the ceiling, but make sure there's still some weight in your heels. Come back to taking those wrinkles out of your neck. We got just about 2 minutes right here. So work to release your shoulders away from your ears, to really create that length in the spine. And remember, it's okay to bring a bend to your knees and support your belly on your thighs, because we got another 1.5 minutes here. And I'd rather your belly be on your thighs, or if you need to, even having your hands all the way on the floor in front of you in a kind of like a weird down dog, just so that you don't have no support for your belly and you have a lot of stress on your lower back.
Got to do what's right for you. Doesn't matter what I'm doing. If anyone else is in the room with you, it doesn't matter what they're doing. Their body is not your body. If you only have time in your whole day to do 2 stretches, I recommend they be this dangle and the squat that we're going to do to follow it. I like to bring my hands to the floor. So if you can reach the floor, great. It's okay if your belly releases from your thighs a little. We're going to heel toe those feet out to be mat's width distance apart. Maybe your heels are still touching the mat, but your toes are turned out to a 45-degree angle. We're going to lower ourselves down into a squat. Bring your elbows towards your inner thighs and bring your hands up into an Anjali Mudra. So hands, palms are pressed against each other. If the squat is feeling super challenging for you, place your block under your glutes. You can still work to really open up those knees. Maybe you'll even feel more of an opening in your hips. Probably a little bit of a less stretch on the glutes. That's okay. We're going to be here for just over 1 more minute. So find that relaxation in your shoulders, in your face. Release that tension. That's visible. And back to your breath. All right, we're gonna see if we can get a little bit more out of these last 2 stretches. We're gonna repeat our dangle and then this squat. So bring your hands, palms back down to the floor. Shift those hips up towards the ceiling. Heel toe your feet in. Either hips width distance apart. I like to have my feet almost side by side. I think that creates the best space. Remember, you can take that bend in your knees and bring your belly to your thighs. You can keep your hands on the floor and keep your belly to your thighs. Or maybe you grab hold of your opposite elbow and really dangle those forearms towards the floor. Maybe they touch the floor. Can you release those shoulders away from your ears again? Work to create that stretch in that lower back, a big hinge from the hips so your belly is still drawn in to keep that lower back protected. Slow down your breath. We've got just about 2 minutes left right here. Remember, if you don't feel a stretch on your lower back or on the back of your legs, you can wrap your arms around your legs to help create a little bit of a bind here. Release your shoulders from your ears once more. And just breathe. Remember, while we're working towards our stillness, if at any point your stretch goes from being noticeable, maybe a little uncomfortable, to truly being painful, especially sharp pain, I want you to carefully back out gently, find a place where you can hang out comfortably, and just finish the posture from there. Should be no hurting during yin. Might not always feel cozy. That's okay. Life's not always cozy. 1 minute left. If you went for a bind around your legs, take your time, carefully release, and then heel toe your feet out. Mats width distance apart, take a 45-degree angle, turning those toes out, and we're going to sit back down into our squat. If you're watching, you might have seen I just turned my block. I'm going to challenge myself to go a little bit lower into the squat this time. To keep that 45-degree angle with the feet. Bring your hands palms together. Your thumbs can touch on your sternum. But use those elbows to press towards your inner thighs. Shoulders are still released away from your ears. Slow breaths. Halfway through. Do that total body scan. See where you can relax here. I know this is a challenging squat or malasana. Really active lower half of the body, but where can you relieve the tension in your upper half? On your next exhale, carefully begin to release your hands back to the floor. You can shift the weight forward. We're going to come down on the floor this time. So take your time, one knee at a time, and then shift your glutes to the side. Send your legs out in front of you. You can bring your hands behind you. Take a moment, shake it out. Shake out your shoulders. Shake out your legs. 1 minute to just sort of shake it out. Find any little weird twists that you want. Take any stretches of the neck. Keep those legs in front of you. We're going to take a minute in staff pose. Just as soon as we finish shaking or bobbing it out. Or maybe just taking a couple big breaths. Last opportunity to remove those spilkies so we can come back to our stillness. All right, so we're going to come into staff pose, so go ahead, sit yourself up. I like to, as I come into staff pose, take a moment and walk each glute back just a little bit to bring that hinge into the hips so there's no rounding of the lower back, there's no discomfort in the back, a nice long spine with this forward hinge. And then, shoulders pretty much stacked on top of your hips. It's okay if they're a little bit forward, especially if your back is not feeling the best. But I want you to take a moment to noticeably draw your rib cage in. So there's some contraction of the abdominal cord. Just got 20 seconds left right here. Keep it pulled in nice and tight.
Awesome. Gently release yourself out of that just a little bit. Next up, we're going to come into child's pose. We're going to move from child's pose into tadpole into frog. So think about keeping some props nearby, especially if you have tried frog before or if you've never tried frog. It's a big, big hip opener. If you want to do full frog with me, you might want to put some blocks under your belly. All right, so we're going to start in child's pose. I encourage you to already take a slight separation of your knees as you send your hips back towards your heels. I'm going to be a winner and tuck my shirt in like a winner. Great. All right, so we got 1 minute here in this child's pose, and then we're going to bring the stretch a lot more to our hips. Since we are here for a long time, if you don't want to have your head all the way down towards the floor, you can keep that head gently lifted. I know it's allergy season, and the last thing I need is more mucus and whatever coming up to my already stuffed up head, so I'm keeping mine lifted. For our next posture, for the version of tadpole we're going to be doing, I want you to shift the weight forward a little bit more and start to separate your legs. So this is where a block comes in really handy, or having a pillow, or for a bolster, to lift your chest so that you can have like a giant clamshell of your legs. It's almost like we're doing the frog kick, and we're at the part of the frog kick where your heels are all the way in towards your glutes and your legs are out nice and wide. And next are these frogs are going to push across the pond. Get all the good flies. All right, we got just a little over a minute left right here. So take that tension out of your upper body and focus on the stretch that you can create within those inner thighs. So really relax and release your glutes. Notice if you're pressing your feet or knees into the floor to find a lift of your glutes to lessen the stretch. It's normal. I was doing it too. Relax your neck here. Okay, so we're gonna change this tadpole into a frog. I encourage you to give it a try. And if you don't like it, I'm gonna give you an option too. So keeping your knees where you are, maybe you're even able to send your glutes back a little bit to get your glutes and hips a little more in line with the knees. We're gonna take our feet and we're gonna walk them out to create a 90-degree angle with our legs. So this is the most intense stretch that you should be feeling in that lower half of the body. And if it's too intense for you, then you get to extend one leg out behind you. And I probably would suggest you come up off of these props and you get to enjoy a half frog. I'll let you know when we're halfway through, because then you'll get to switch and do the opposite side. I personally find this to be one of the most challenging postures to really find that stillness in. And also because there's so much stretch in the lower body and I'm trying to support it with my props. There's a real effort put into finding relaxation in the shoulders and in the upper body, so I encourage you to relax as much as possible, to be as still as you can. If you decided to go for a version of half frog, now's the time for you to switch those legs out. Bend your opposite leg into that 90-degree angle, working to bring those inner thighs, that groin towards the floor. And everyone who's in the full frog, know that we're more than halfway. Hooray! Ribbit. Ribbit. Continue to exhale the tension and the expectation out of your lower body and the stress and the pressure away from your upper body. Stick with this stillness. You have about 4 breaths left. Great. Go ahead, bring your hands, palms down to the floor. Fold those legs in gently. I think it helps to come out of frog, to bring yourself forward just a little bit. Move these delightful props to the side. Next up, we've got sleeping swan. So you have the option. I'm going to look like I'm doing the opposite. Just want to make sure that we do our right sides first to stimulate the right side of the liver, kidney, meridian, also digestion. Make sure that we do not constipate ourselves. You're welcome. All right, so we're going to come into sleeping swan, and you can either just bring your right knee forward and then do your best to line that shin up parallel to the mat and sit down. Or if it helps, you can send your hips up towards the ceiling for down dog and then draw that right leg forward and release it down. You'll probably need to wiggle your back foot back a little bit as we work our way into sleeping swan. Resist the urge to bring your front right leg's glute to the mat, because then you lose all of the hip opener through the left hip, which is what we're really focusing on here. So keep that left hip squared to the mat. If you find that you really need some support, if it feels like your right leg is really lifted high, bring that towel or pillow or whatever you got to help support you there. And you can stay lifted here in your swan, and if it feels good, you can come on down to the mat, maybe even make a little bind of your head and just sleep it out. We got just over 2 minutes left right here. It's totally cool if your shin is not at all parallel with the mat. Currently, my shin is definitely at about a 45-degree angle, and my heel is really close to the opposite hip. If you're feeling more open and you were able to bring that right leg shin more forward, cool. Don't move it now though. Just enjoy wherever you're at. Make sure you're not rolling over into that right glute. Working to keep that chest and your hips squared to the mat. Enjoy those big breaths. See if you can create some expansion through the back side of the ribs. Continue to stick with this stillness. We've got just a couple breaths left right here. Resist the urge to scratch your head, to fix your shirt. You can do that on your next exhale as we switch to the other side of Sleeping Swan. So you have an option to either press yourself back up into Down Dog and then bring your right leg behind you, or you can always just switch your legs. I'm gonna take a moment, pass through Dragonfly with a nice little forward fold. Giving you 1 minute of either this Down Dog or a little bit of a full dragon stretch. All right, let's start to set ourselves up for the opposite side. So this time, opposite leg shin is as parallel as we can get it towards the mat. We send the back leg behind us. No judgment. So maybe you can do more on this side, maybe you can do less, and that's okay. If it feels good to keep yourself lifted, keep yourself lifted. Remember, we're not shifting the weight to the front leg glute and rolling out towards the side. We're keeping those hips squared down towards the mat. Where do you feel it first? It's all going to depend on how tight you are. Maybe you feel that big stretch through your front leg glute. And maybe you notice it more in your hip. Take that tension out of your upper body. Melt towards the mat as much as you possibly can. Just about 2 minutes left right here. It's really normal when we're faced with the challenge to fidget around. So if you find yourself coming into some of these more challenging postures like frog or like sleeping swan here, and you are looking to create excuses to move around, know that you are not alone. It takes time to create the focus and stillness of this yin practice. So if you notice your mind straying, or if you notice that you're, doing something weird with your body, or just doing something different, if you're doing anything besides just chilling, that's okay. Just notice. Tell yourself, whoopsie doodles. And then come join me in this stillness, in our silence for 1 more minute right here. Last 3 breaths right here. Excellent work. Great hip opening. Nice glute stretch. Take your time. Gently roll yourself over. We're going to lay down in our backs for our last 2 asanas before our final savasana. All right, carefully relax and release yourself down on the floor. Then go ahead, bend up your right leg. Keep your left leg straight. Take your left hand and cross your right leg over the body. As you draw that right leg over, you can gently roll over to your onto your left side.
You can extend your right arm out to the side as much as you want for counterbalance. You can even turn your chin towards your right shoulder. If you want or need, you can place a block underneath of that right leg in your twist to help you feel supported. I recommend actually using your left hand to apply a little bit of pressure as you can on the outside of the knee. One more minute right here. Create some length in your spine, stretch through the crown of your head. How much can you have both shoulders on the mat while also stacking your hips in this twist? Take your time on this exhale to gently release yourself back down on the mat. Extend your right leg. Take a moment. Take a moment while you pass through to just let those hips open, to just relax on the floor. Keep your right leg extended, and go ahead, draw that left leg up. Might even need to press into your sole of the left foot to really relax and release your upper body to the mat as much as possible. And with that left knee bent, you're going to take your time and draw it over the right side of the body. Once again, option to use a block under that leg to feel a little supported and hopefully apply a little pressure on the outside of the thigh, close by the knee with your right hand. If you want to bring that stretch to your neck, turning your chin over your left shoulder. Work to relax, release, as much of your shoulders to the mat as you can. Find some length once again. Gentle engagement of that abdominal core, shoulders pulled down away from your ears, maybe even stretching through your extended right foot. Take your time on your next exhale. Gently roll yourself over onto your back. Once again, extend your legs all the way out. You can extend your arms out as wide to the side as you want. We're coming into our final Savasana. We've got just about 5 minutes left here together. We're going to spend a full 4 of them in this final Savasana. You're encouraged to stay here as long as you possibly can. Bring the same attention to this posture as you did all the others. So once again, no fidgeting, creating stillness, awareness in the breath. This is the time that we allow our practice to just soak in, to sink in. And it takes a little mental focus to make it happen. To remind yourself why you came today. To scan your body from head to toe and notice how you feel. Ask yourself if you feel different than you did when class started. All right, next 3 silent minutes of stillness together begins right now. always, you are encouraged and welcome to stay in this Savasana for as long as feels right for you. If you'd like to close up class together, take your time and make your way back to a seated position of your choice. When you get there, bring your hands palms to the center of your chest, or just take this moment to focus on yourself as you lay down on the floor. Think about why you came to class today and just enjoy all the benefits your body is currently soaking in. How great did that Savasana just feel? Have you laid on the floor at all throughout the rest of the day to just recharge? I hadn't. If you have any questions or concerns about anything that I said or we did today, please reach out. Maybe you're like, how does opening my hips make me a kinder person? I'm sure we've all noticed that on days that we don't feel well or that we're more tense, how challenging it is to be kind to others and especially to be kind to ourselves. So I hope that today's practice, if nothing else, helps you to just love on yourself a little bit more. So you see me again, continue to think good thoughts, to speak good words, to do good deeds, and eat good foods, to nourish yourself from the inside to the out. If it feels right, you can lift your thumb up to your third eye, your drishti, press your sit bones into the floor, draw your belly in, lift your beautiful faces up towards the ceiling, to the sun, and know that the light within me honors, sees, and is so thankful for the light within you. I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your day. Namaste.